greatest in the land. Someone who always can. Don't you know? Robito!
It's time for that Monday night delight. This is What's Up, Flobo After Hours, that late night vibing. How's everyone doing? I'm Flobo Boyce. Of course, this show is brought to you by Clipper Ranks. As you can tell, I'm a part of Beard Gang, and I make sure my beard is nice and moisturized and has all the volume at clipperranks.com. Use promo code FLOBO for a discount. It is a special day here in America, Martin Luther King Day. I hope you guys took the time to not only just read a couple quotes on Instagram, but learn more about the man who was a champion for civil rights. He was a complex person, and we are in a complex time, and I'm not going to say one individual has all the answers, but what Dr. King did for our nation cannot be understated. Just for a little bit of background, 2 states in our nation, we're talking about Alabama and Mississippi, still consider this day MLK Day / Robert E. Lee Day, which means the journey is still going. So do yourself a favor, learn more about the man and the lesson. No, JLJ Media did not dress up for this special episode. But speaking of dressing up, because we're talking about cosplay here this week, I am enamored. I'm going to show you why I don't do it anymore. But I'm going to bring on a very, very special guest, someone I've been completely enamored with over the past 48 hours. I have seen every social media post, all her podcast appearances. She is doing big things, not only for herself, not only for moms who dress up, and not only for an advocate of body positivity. She is changing and shifting barriers. Please welcome Miss McAndrew. How's it going?
It's going good. Yay! Hi. It's very good to be here.
You're a little frozen right now, but we're hanging out here in the chat. Chat's piling in. This is What's Up, Flobo After Hours. We're going to sit here and we're going to chat about what is going on with you. Now, here's my first question. I was actually searching your social media, and it says that you've been cosplaying for about since 2014?
Yes, not very long.
Yeah,
not very long at all. Really, my kid got me into it. He wanted to dress up when we would go to conventions, and he was just like, "Would you, dress up with me, please?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I felt kind of weird about it." But I just said, "You know what? I'm in my 40s. I don't care if anybody makes fun of me anymore. I really don't. So let's just do this." And I ended up meeting people that are the same. They just, we just don't care about that. And we just let go and just go and express ourselves. And we have such a good time cosplaying now.
Just want to say shout out to everyone piling into the chat on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Haywood Wong, JLJ Media, that's James Lott Jr., Kirsten Marie, thank you so much for rolling in here. Question, though, I've been told, as I am not quite at 40's door, but I will be one day, that once you turn that ripe age, you do get into your own things like, what do I want out of life? How do I want to enjoy this? Forget what people think. Is it true?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like...
there's still hope for me.
There's just kind of a switch that gets flipped, and you're just like, I like doing this, and I don't care if people think it's weird. I don't care if people think it's just strange or whatever. It's just like, I have a good time, and I live my truth and my joy. And so it's so funny, because when you do something like that and you don't have fear anymore, it actually radiates out of you, and you don't get the negativity back that you think you are going to get, because you're so positive about it. People are like, "Oh, wow. I mean, she looks like she's just having like such a good time, and maybe I should do something like that myself, because it looks like fun." So I think you just send out some energy that just tells you that, A, I don't care if you don't understand, but B, I'm having such a good time. Maybe you should try that too.
Right. That's that's actually a good way of looking at it. You know, I
Yeah.
think that we get kind of caught up in the what will people think.
Mm.
Well, here's my story with cosplaying, and it's kind of a sob story. But I'll continue, and I'll post this on my social media tomorrow so everyone can see this. So there was a time when I really wanted to cosplay, and I didn't know, I guess, the rules. So I just said, "What rules?" And I did whatever I could, right? So it was San Diego Comic Con. I decided I want to do a street style version of the artist formerly known as Captain Marvel Shazam. So I had this t-shirt, I had like a white hoodie, I had a gold belt, I had gold sneakers, and I don't know about you, man, but the idea in my head of what I wanted and what I came out wasn't the same. And everyone told me I looked nice, but I felt like a total loon, and I never did it again.
Oh, you poor thing. Oh my God.
What was me?
No, what was you? For real. Because it's interesting because I think a lot of when you try to do a screen accurate cosplay, I'll do that too, where I'll think, oh my God, this looks so good.
Yeah.
And then I get to the convention and I'm like, oh my God, this is garbage. I can't believe I wore this. Oh my God. And I start freaking out. And I think that's what just kind of pushed me into more of a Disney bound and more of a mashup type cosplay because there is no there's nothing to compare it to. You just have, if you do a 50s version of Captain Marvel or you do a 50s version of Captain America, it's your version of it. And so they're not going to hold up a comic book and go, see, look, your jacket's wrong right here, your jacket's wrong. And
Yeah.
they can't do that to you because you've mashed up two things together. And so I really lean towards that a lot. But yeah, when I wear my Starlord, which is screen accurate, oh, I can't even tell you how. Oh well, I want to say I'm about 4 jackets in right now
Okay.
because he keeps changing his jacket, and I'm like,
Yeah.
damn it. And so I just go and I get another replica jacket, and I'm like, okay, but now the t-shirt, it's not the right blue, and oh my God. And I just torture myself with screen accurate cosplay. It's kind of tough. So
For,
I feel your pain. I do.
Thank you. I'm glad. I feel seen. That
Yep. I
that
feel
was
your
right.
pain. I really, really do.
For those of you who don't know about this, there's something in toy industries called Toyetic. And basically, you want to have these characters be able to be marketed to put action figures. And what that means is that usually you get 4 or 5 costumes of the same hero in the same series. Like Captain America himself has like a bunch of stuff because
Mhm.
that's a new action figure every time. And
Yes.
props to you for trying, or like, at least doing the screen accurate version of Star Lord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it changes all the time, and yeah, and I think they do it for not only for toys, but they do it at this rate for cosplayers because now it's like, oh God, I gotta go get another jacket. It's like, I changed his shirt, and it's like, dang it, and and it has its good and it's bad.
Right. You can't win. Haywood Wong says, "I've seen good cosplay and bad cosplay. It's an experience." Now I want to ask you, as someone who cosplays, is there such a thing as bad cosplay, and if so, what that is? What is
Yeah,
that?
see, I don't. The only bad cosplay I think is um, something that's just really inappropriate, and really the only thing that's super inappropriate, and somebody does this every convention. Somebody does brown face or black face, and they're always like, but I look like the person and I'm a big fan. And it's like, you're like, no, the
Yeah.
answer is no. It doesn't matter. No, the answer is
Right.
no.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the only cosplay that's just like, nope, 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 nope. Everything else, I mean, literally, if you want to, you know, color, a sandwich board and put it on and go, I'm in cosplay. It's like, you know what? You're in cosplay. That's fine. I'm totally okay with that.
I'm Lunch
I,
Man. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's like I made up my character. It's like, okay, good for you. You do you, and
Yeah.
and enjoy that stuff. But I really think that's the only bad cosplay is something that is just that people would find offensive
Oh,
is that. And the other thing, I mean, there are some really scantily clad cosplays, but I don't vilify women for doing those because
oh, you meant women. I thought you meant the guys. Gotcha.
there's some guys, oh man,
I'm just
there's
falling
a
off.
group
Like,
of dudes that
yeah.
dress up like the gladiators from 300, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean they don't have anything on. I
Right.
mean they really are not wearing much at all. And there are some women, they do the slave Leia bikini and all of that. I don't have a problem with that. I've always, sat my kid down and said, look, that, look at it this way. Look how confident and positive they are in their bodies. And they worked really hard on their cosplays to put them together. And if it's not your jam, then, don't ask for a picture with them. Just keep walking. It's different, different strokes for everybody. And so I don't do that kind of shaming for people that do, really skimpy type cosplays. I just don't think it's worth the time. If they want to dress up in the slave Leia bikini, let them dress up in the slave Leia bikini. It's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, that's I get it. We touched on a lot of stuff that I want to go into. I heard another interview that when it comes to your niches, you tend to work in the Star Wars sphere and the Marvel sphere.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse is laughing right now, but the question I have is why those two? What was the big draw of those two universes?
Star Wars was the reason I was a nerd in the first place. I was,
Fair.
9 years old, and my dad was just, we have to go see this new movie. Oh my God. And I was just like, oh, okay. And my dad took me to, a, a big event movies all the time. And I was like, so I knew if he's taking me to it, it's going to be pretty good. So we go. I knew nothing about Star Wars. This is 1977. There was no, there were no interwebs back then, and
Yeah.
there wasn't even cable yet.
Right.
So yeah, like literally nothing. We had 3 channels, and that was it. And
And
so
we liked it too.
yeah, we go to the theater, and I'm just like, I've got popcorn, and I'm all excited, um, and the movie starts, and I'm just like, and there's just references that take me to, I really like fantasy fiction, King Arthur, and it was reminiscent of that. And then, to see Princess Leia just, grab a blaster and she starts bossing the guys around, and they do what she says, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
My little 9-year-old brain just, you know. And after that, I was just a huge Star Wars fan for the longest time. And, and I played D&D, and I was a nerd in high school, and I had all my nerdy friends, and didn't really get into comic books until the Marvel movies started coming out, and they just really, again, they just resonated with me so much because the Avengers took me back to King Arthur's Knights again. I mean, they really are a modern day telling of the Knights of the Round Table. That's what the Avengers are.
Oh yeah. Not to mention it.
They really are. And so it just inspired me. Just the I think it's just the friendship and the taking care of each other. Just all of that just kind of feeds into it. It's just more than just pew pew and
Right.
it's it's fun, but at the same time they do have really great underlying messages about inclusion and friendship and taking up for the little guy. I mean, Captain America is just all about, he's a little guy, and then once he's big muscular guy, he takes up for the little guy no matter what, and it's just a great message.
And like me, he's from Brooklyn.
Exactly, he's just a kid from Brooklyn.
Here's a question from Haywood Wong. He says, "Do you think we're going to see a lot of Din/Mando or Grogu Baby Yodas at conventions, as far as
Oh my
cosplays?"
God. Yes, I really do. I have one of my cosplay buddies. His name is Sean Richter, and if you guys want to look him up on Instagram, he's BatCap50, I think. He's been making his own Mando armor, and he has one of the Grogu, the life-size Grogu toys that I think pretty much everybody has at this point. And he's made armor for his Grogu. He's made Jedi robes for his Grogu, and he just finished Boba Fett armor for himself and his Grogu. So, yeah, I think, long answer to a short question, but yes, I think it's going to be baby Yodas everywhere you look. When we finally get back to a con, I think they're going to be everywhere.
And that's
okay. And that's
okay.
Yeah, I'm like, yay.
I've gone to cons for two reasons. One, as a wrestling fan, I like the whole pop culture thing, and I grew up on Archie comics. Those are the ones I used to like read and stuff. But I try to buy comic books at comic cons because less and less people do so now. The kind of this pop culture is great, but I try to make it old school. So again, as a follow up, I guess Hay was asking, do you know Ivy Doom Kitty? I assume she's a famous cosplayer. I have no idea.
Yes, I do know her. I did. She's an acquaintance more likely. I mean, we have a lot of the same friends, and we did some modeling together for Elle Hoffer Design, and we did a runway show once for LA Comic Con.
Oh yeah, were you a fan of that? Because it's a newer con. I've been there when it was Kamikaze back in the day. I haven't gone.
I liked it better. I liked it a little better when it was Kamikaze. It's kind of they made it, Stan Lee's LA Comic Con, and then it was just LA Comic Con, and I think they're just trying to figure out what kind of convention they want to be, and. So, I totally support them because I like the smaller cons because you can go do more things. You can see your friends. It's a little bit more casual. San Diego is just so insane. It's just, you just go from thing to thing to thing, and you're just sandwiched in between, and you just kind of walk around the con floor like this and go, oh, look at that thing over there that I can't get anywhere close to.
Keep it moving.
Keep moving. Yeah, I know. And it's like, oh my God. It's like, why did I buy this expensive badge for this, So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen to all the conventions when they start coming back. I think it's going to be a very different experience.
Just two more questions before we move on. Derek Fisher wants to know if you watched the Orville, and Haywood Wong has the last follow-up. Have you been to NY Comic Con? So have you watched the Orville, and have you been to New York City Comic Con?
I love the Orville. I'm so sad it's gone. I loved it so much. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man. My son and I just ate that up. We loved that show. I thought it was just really interesting, and I loved how it mixed the humor with the seriousness of the Trek. I know it's not Trek technically, but it
kind of is.
It's Trek. Come on, and it just kind of the morality plays every week, but there's also just so much funny in it, and so I really miss it. So yeah. I did watch it, but it's such a bummer it's gone.
Yeah, I have not watched it, but everyone tells me you was missing out, player. So it's
Yeah,
on
go
my
back.
ever
Yeah, go
long
back.
queue.
I think it's on Hulu. Go back and just binge. It's like 3 seasons. It's really, really good.
It's on my to-do list, but that to-do list is so long.
I know. I know.
So I was perusing your Instagram account, and your bio says, "quote Cosplaying fangirl and mommy launching herself into the nerd world." Let's talk about the intersection of that. You know, people think about nerds. People always say things like, "Oh, you're your mom's basement. You probably don't date, but you are in a family. You have a family. You're doing your thing. Like, how does that work together? How does
Yeah.
you and your son work in tandem?"
Yeah. It's there are more nerds that don't live in the basement and don't. There's a
Out of
lot
my
more.
apartment. Haha.
They have nice, they have day jobs, and they they support themselves and everything. There are a lot more of us than there are of the kind of basement dwelling troll type people. They don't really come out all that often. I don't,
Right.
ugh. But just what's great is that my kid, since birth, has always liked nerdy things, and a lot of the same nerdy things that I like.
Nice.
If he had become a super jock that played soccer or something, for example, I don't know, my nerd life would have been maybe a little bit less, because I would have been going and doing other things with him. But it just happened to be that our interests intersect enough that wrapping up those two parts of my life together, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, and that comes to. I saw a picture that you were Starlord and Rocket. Like, it was kind of this tandem
Yeah.
deal. Like, tag teaming it.
Yeah, it's very funny when we're in a movie theater and we're watching something new, and you'll see a character come on and their costume and a new, costume or something, and we start just elbowing each other and leaning over and going, "Oh my God, okay, I'm gonna find that cosplay.
Yeah.
I think, do you think Amazon has a shirt like that?" It's yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, and we just immediately, just the gears are just going,
Yeah.
and we just start planning from the get-go, and he does it too. So just we're both just ridiculous like that, I guess.
So I also heard from another podcast you're featured on that you're starting to learn to sew your own stuff. And do you have a thing set up, or is that you're kind of in like the exploration
I
stages?
am in such an exploration.
Hey, that's
I
cool.
have, yeah, it was just like, I need to learn how to just, I mean, come on, just do something, just the basic sewing. I mean, my gosh, I
Yeah.
don't know how I've gone this long without learning how to do just any sewing at all.
Like
It's,
like I mentioned, my ideas are just so in my head, and I know the ones I want are either super expensive or beyond my actual skill level. I just go,
yeah,
bah, humbug. I'll
yeah,
just wear a
yeah.
t-shirt.
Yeah, and and my boyfriend is like, I'll help you with the sewing. And I'm like so ironic. He's like, I'll do that. He's like, I got.
You got a
He's like,
team now. That's
yeah.
like
He's like,
Tony Stark said it. Yeah.
I used to make Ren Fair costumes all the time. It'll be fine. I'll show you how to do this. So yeah, I'm totally like, just I got a sewing machine, and I'm watching the YouTube videos of how to do the simple little thing, and I have this very, very easy peasy, well, for most people, probably not for me, but this just easy dress, and I'm gonna finish it one of these days. I really am. I
You,
know it.
you definitely are.
I can do it. I can do it.
So for those of you who are listening, the chat just got in here. The way to a woman's heart is learning how to sew. So fellas, that's how you
Seriously.
do it.
Yeah,
Cross stitch. What? I want to talk to you about your website, your blog, inplainsight.style, which is ahead of the curve. Because back then it was like, oh, non-orthodox URL, but you got it quick. It goes about your experiences, your photo galleries, the people you've met in this community. Talk to me about blogging, because there's a lot of ways to express yourself on the interwebs, but you went classic. Tell me why.
I did go classic. I was with a group of friends, and we would just talk about the different types of YouTube channels that were out there, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, I mean, and someday I might do some YouTubing, but I haven't really yet. But I was just like, I feel more comfortable writing, and just I think I'm just going to jump in and do that. And so it was a blog with me and my kid, and and now he's a teenager, and he's like, Mom, I can't have a blog with my mom anymore. And I'm like, gee, why? Now, I mean, all popular 14-year-olds have a blog with their moms. What do you mean?
21st century problems, I swear.
Yeah, he was like, I cannot.
Yeah.
He was like, you have got to take me off of all of that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so he dumped me.
I can't believe it. Yeah.
Like, are you dumping me? You're dumping your mother? This is not cool, man.
It's not funny, but I'm cracking up.
You know what? No, I was like, yes. I'm like, you don't want to be that weird kid that's like, my mom's my best friend. It's like, okay, there's something wrong with that. That's not okay. That's not healthy. So yeah, so I just really just feel comfortable, just writing, and as I've gone further into it, I've gotten better at, taking photos of the outfits and doing, just posing and coming up with ideas for photo shoots and that type of thing. But yeah, it may morph into a YouTube at some point, but I don't know. I think I just went in my comfort zone, which was writing, and just kind of took it from there.
Oh, that's great. I have to ask as a follow-up, though, being dumped by your... Well, I got to ask, because I don't have kids of my own. And so I like to ask other parents, that have kids. Obviously, that's how you're a parent. Dumb question. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, does it really change? Does it hurt when the kid's like, Mom, I'm spreading my wings, like, right now, and like so?
Yes, because you're just like, what do you mean you don't want to go do this thing with me? But we used to do this together, and it's like, yeah, right. But I don't do that anymore. It's like, oh man, and it does two things. It just you're dumped,
right?
You don't have your little pal to run around with anymore, and then you feel old because you're lame.
This blew my mind.
Yeah, but in the back of your head, you just have to think, okay, but this is actually healthy. What they're doing is healthy. They are being independent thinkers and figuring out who they are and how they fit into the world and what they want to do, what their interests are. And they still do intersect, but just not as much. And I just have to, keep in the back of my head when I, to know this is actually healthy,
right?
That he's doing this. This is not bad. This is actually a good thing.
You know what? Now that you say that, my mom for years will complain about having all these board games we never played with her, and now I get it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm going back in time. I'll tell my mom I love her.
Yeah. And then, and the thing is, I went through that same phase, with my dad. It was kind of the same thing. And then once I moved out on my own, we found new ground, common ground again. And we would, talk about movies and TV shows and things, and just, speaking of the Orville, if he was still with us, that would have been so. I just think I'm like, oh my God, he would have loved the show so much. Oh my Lord! And so it's going to come back around again, where he'll be off to college and it'll be like FaceTiming and going, "Oh, can you, help me with this cosplay?" and that, and then we'll get back into it again. It'll happen.
He'll be back.
He'll be back.
Let's talk about your book. It's called In Plain Sight: Using Cosplay to Express Your Inner Superhero. Question I have, actually I have two questions. One, how is the writing process? But more importantly, does everyone have a superhero inside them? I mean, it could be some supervillains too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, I've met some of those. I'm like, you're just, you really are just kind of a villain in hiding, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah. There's no
Lex Luthor
hero
was
in
right.
it at all. The writing process for me, it was really, I'd always wanted to do a workbook. I wanted to have something that people could, make notes in and just kind of use for their process, and just to give them, because I mean, as a fellow nerd, you know that we like to do things, right. We like to get good grades. And so giving them a book and saying, here is how you do this thing, it gives them more confidence, because they can say, no, I'm doing this right, because this book tells me right here that I did this the right way.
Yeah.
And so I just really wanted to kind of give, somebody who was, just not too sure of themselves and didn't have the fortunate, the fortunes that I've had, which is to have a kid that was like, "Oh, Mom, you look awesome. Let's do this." And let's, and just have that encouragement. Maybe somebody, doesn't have that, and they still would love to go to a con and love to dress up, but they're like, "Oh no, I can't do that." It's like, yeah, you can't. You really
Right. Yeah. Well, especially now, right? Everything's all virtual, right? Or has it come back? Have they come back?
Pretty much everything's virtual. Yeah.
Mm.
I haven't seen any in-person conventions on any schedules yet.
For me, it was kind of a mixed bag. I am usually on this panel at San Diego Comic Con. It's called Not So Strange Bedfellows, the relationship between comics and pro wrestling. Not to brag. But when we have the actual panel, fortunately, it's weird, because I'm not complaining, but it's usually scheduled at the same time as the masquerade. So we get like 30 people because everyone's watching the masquerade. but this year, because it was virtual, we got like 600 views or 1,000 views. So it's like, it kind of was a good thing it was virtual this year. It's a weird vibe,
Yeah. I thought about doing a panel, and then we just didn't quite get it all together in time. And now I'm thinking, you know what, this year I think we'll do it and see if we can, have, the In Plain Sight panel. And
is it a spoiler to ask what would it be? Or
oh no,
news?
it's the same one that we've done. We've done it. We did at WonderCon, and we were going to do it at San Diego, but it just didn't come together. But it's just basically a lot of the ideas that I put forth in the book, but it's friends of mine with me, showing that, I'm not the only one that Disney bounds and that type of thing. Look, there's a couple of guys here, and there's girls, and they're different ages, and that this is available to everybody, not just to women. Men can do it too, and the process of putting a look together and that type of thing.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a pretty cool idea.
Yeah,
I hope it works out for sure. Yeah. Just real quick, for someone who doesn't know, because it took me a long time to understand this, what exactly is Disney bounding?
Yeah, no, it's such a weird word for it. It's like, why is it called that? That's so weird. This girl was going to. She had a blog, just old school blog as well, and she was going on her first journey to Disney World, and she'd never been, and she was a huge Disney fan, and she was super excited. And so her blog was called I'm Disney Bound. And so she was writing up, here's what I'm going to wear on this day, and I'm going to this park on this day, and so on. And she realized that she can't cosplay, like flat out cosplay at the parks, because they have rules about if you're 14 and older, you can't do that. And it's just to alleviate confusions, because if you see Cinderella waiting in line to get on the Millennium Falcon to ride it, kids are
Right.
going to be like, what is happening?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
going to be very confusing. So you can't
Kids.
dress up. But she was like, okay, fine, then in that case I'm Disney bound as, and let's say Captain Hook. And she was like, here's how I'm going to wear something inspired by Captain Hook, but it's compliant with the Disney rules. And it was just, like a red cardigan, and, maybe a pirate sword necklace and that type of thing. And so it just really, people were just like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that on my trip. Here's how I Disney bounded Aladdin when I went to the park, and they would share. And so it just kind of shared, and now it's just a whole thing. So
Yeah.
using everyday wardrobe to put a look together that's inspired by a character or a movie. And so it's just called, Disney bound or Marvel bound, or you can just bounding for short. And that's how it got its weird name.
The one thing I would, because I've been in the Los Angeles area since 2007, so I've been here about 13 years and change. The one thing that I forget avocados, forget the tax rates, forget West Side Rentals. The one thing about California that really floored me was how many adults are out about Disneyland. Like, they're like, biker gangs are about it. There's like church groups that go every week. There's people that do the annual pass, and when they don't get the annual pass, it's like, what happened, Jeremy? Where's your annual pass? It just
Yeah.
blows my mind.
Yes, yeah. And the news this week that there's sunsetting the annual pass program, people are just like, but what are we going to do? And it's like, and I'm just like, sweetie, they're still going to let you in. It's just not going to be the same. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on. But it had just gotten so out of control, the crowds. It's so different from Florida because the parks are so much smaller, for one. And it's just, and so many more locals go to the parks here than they do in Florida, because what I know from working there, most people work at parks, and so on their days off, they're not going to a park. They're going to do anything but
Yeah.
go to a park.
Yeah.
So the locals don't invade Disney World like they do Disneyland. But yeah, it's all about, it's a bikers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah.
I used to live in Florida, and I always felt that there's so many people in Orlando who hate the fact that those old steel mill like amusement parks are there, because it's responsible for the economy, but it's like, ugh, these tourists,
Yeah. It's like,
unnecessary evil.
yeah. Yeah. You get stuck behind them on I-4, and you're just like, oh my God.
There it
Like,
is.
I just want to go to work.
You're taking me back to the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Well, I got to ask you a question there, Kim. You want to play a game?
Yes.
Let's do it. This one, just because it's Disney, it's called A Few of My Favorite Things from that classic.
The sound of Sound of Music.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about your favorite. You let me know. You can tell me why. You can pass if you want to, whatever you like.
Okay.
Cool. Favorite superhero of all time?
Captain America.
Really? Huh.
Oh.
With a bullet.
Yes.
Favorite villain?
Loki.
Favorite thing to do to unwind after a hard day?
Ooh. I'd say, what would I do? Um, just hang out with my cats.
Oh, how many cats do you have?
Two. One is my favorite villain, and the other one is thing on earth. Oh my God. His name is Rocket, and he acts just like. I mean, we named him well.
Okay.
If he could talk, he would be sarcastic, and he'd probably carry a gun. So
Oh my goodness.
he's something else. He's something else. And then that Fedora is like this sweet black kitty, and she's just the nicest little cat in the world. And then Rocket just tears into the room. It's just you're like, oh my God.
You have a cat named Fedora. That's adorable. That's adorable. That's a pun for you. Favorite fashion brand.
Ooh, her universe.
Ooh. Favorite TV show currently.
Mandalorian.
Favorite con you ever attended.
Oh, WonderCon in Anaheim.
I love WonderCon. It's the perfect
Favorite
balance.
one.
It's the
My
perfect
favorite.
balance. Favorite way to support a friend.
I would say reach out and invite them to a coffee or to a movie or something. Just hang out.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a big one. Favorite day of your life.
Ooh. Hmm. This is gonna be really corny, but the day my son was born. I mean,
It counts.
I mean,
I'm not going to boo you.
yeah, I mean, it's corny as can be, but it's such a mom thing to say, but it's true.
It's
Okay, but
fine.
I can tell you my second favorite was my son and I got to meet Chris Evans and Anthony Mackie,
Oh.
and that was insane.
Well, yeah. On your left.
Yeah, yeah, we went to Ace Comic Con. It was my 50th birthday present to myself was to meet Falcon and Cap.
Wow.
And yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh, you're not kidding about liking Cap. That's cool, man.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah,
cool.
it was pretty amazing.
Favorite time of day.
Um, I'd say right after work ends, just kind of quiet and
Well,
peaceful in the house.
do you work days or nights? Kind of. I
I
don't know what
work
time.
I work at I my day job is
Okay.
I'm a paralegal for Discovery Channel. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh,
then I'm working from home because of, COVID fun. So I've been working
well,
from home.
this is where I get to complain. Is because of Discovery Channel. My mom wants me to get Discovery Plus for her, and I can't.
I know,
Every day.
I
Property
know.
Brothers. Okay.
Everybody's I
Uh,
know. We talked about that in the meeting last week. We were saying, oh, so many things are going to premiere on Discovery Plus, and people are going to get it, but at the same time, they're like, another streaming service, and I'm like, yeah, but Ghost Adventures, guys, come on! I mean, come on!
totally. That's what we're
I mean,
getting.
come on!
That's what we totally want. More Ghost Adventures. Uh, favorite beverage.
Diet Coke.
Ooh, that's a classic choice. I'm over Coke
Yeah,
Zero Sugar here myself. Favorite musical artist.
Duran Duran.
What's the one they did? I'm trying to think. They did the.
Uh,
Help me out. View to a Kill?
Girls on Film, Hungry Like the Wolf,
No, View to a Kill. They're James Bond
View
entry.
to a Kill. Yep, yep.
Yeah, that's it.
They
Actually, my least favorite
did.
Bond movie, but my favorite song. Dun, dun,
Same.
dun,
Oh my God, the movie is garbage, but the song is fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah,
I can't sing.
yeah.
That's why I DJ weddings. Favorite cosplay I've ever done.
Oh wow. I would say Starlord. Starlord's my
Okay.
favorite.
I love the first trailer. It's like, I'm Starlord, man. Who? And after
Who?
years, he became a bankable character.
Yes.
Smart. And finally, favorite thing you heard from a fan after reading your book?
Um, oh, I got a note from someone that said, you know, I just I had no idea that, that, plus size people could wear clothes like this too, but you listed some brands and I checked them out, and so I'm actually, getting dresses, and I'm getting excited about this, and I really like the way I look now, and I never would have known about these brands if you hadn't told me, and I was just like, oh, that's so nice.
Oh, well, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that in just a second. We'll go back to the chat real quick. Chat, we love you so much. Your comments are pouring in on Facebook, YouTube,
Oh, good.
Twitter, and Twitch. Thank you so much. I had a question. Oh, Derek Fisher says, "Love your Guardians of the Galaxy poster. Batista sighting. Happy birthday, Big Dave." I can't see Drax. Can you? And Haywood Wong wants to know your thoughts, opinions, comments on WandaVision.
I really like it. But at the same time, it's like I'm so sad watching it because I know that her beautiful illusion of a world is it's not real, and I'm
Right.
just like, I'm gonna cry when I'm just like, I'm like, she's like, we make a great couple, don't we? And I was like, no, he's dead. And I'm like, yeah,
Ugly
he's
cry.
great, but he's dead. And I was like, just so sad.
Yeah.
But I am so curious as to how, Sword is going to fit into the whole thing, and if it's being done to her, or did she just basically just completely get so depressed that she's created this world with her chaos magic and she doesn't even know that she's done it. I
Right.
don't know. The
It's
tragedy, ugly cry is coming. I know that, but but I'm watching it anyway because it's awesome. I think it's really well done.
Oh man, it kind of reminds me of that show that was on NBC, like This Is Us, I think it was called. And
Oh, yeah. So many friends that watch that, and they're just like, every week I just sob, and I'm like, oh my God.
well, that's what I'm saying. My ex girlfriend at the time watched it every week. I'm like, why would you make time out of your day to cry? It's like, cause I'm
Yeah,
making time to cry.
yeah. You just, the last episode of Mando, 20 minutes of just, openly just, and I just, but it was great. But at the same time, I'm just like, oh my God, that was so draining and emotional. It's like, don't do that to me anymore.
uh, James Lott Jr. says, and he's probably dating himself. Back in the day, it was China Beach. I'm like, for real?
China Beach was good.
It was, but I did it for film school. Like, that was before my time.
I'm dating myself too, so that's fine. But China Beach was lit. I liked it.
It was lit. You had mentioned that you have been an advocate for body positivity, especially in the cosplay universe, but just as a creative as well. I mean, has it been a difficult journey for you? Have people been supportive? Like, how did that work for you?
It honestly was really surprising how positive the whole, community is already just super duper positive. And if anything, what the community did for me was show me that just, be comfortable and happy in the skin you're in today. Don't do this thing where, oh, well, I'll wear that dress when I lose 20 pounds. Kind of this idea of you don't deserve this until
Yeah.
you have a thin enough body for that. And it's like, no, you deserve it right now. And you deserve it if you do lose 20 pounds. If you don't, you still deserve it. It's still not, you're the space you take up in the universe doesn't have anything to do with what you deserve and how you look and how you feel about yourself. And I just was really, I felt good about my body, but I was very into, I was allowed to feel good about my body because I watched what I ate, and I went and worked out this week. So, I worked out 3 times this week. So I'm been good. And when you're good, then you deserve the good things. And I think the cosplay community showed me, it's like, no, you don't have to wait until you fit a certain mold. It's like you're good right now, like right this second. And so just enjoy your life and enjoy the things that life can give you, and don't punish yourself. It's not, we're not here long enough for that. We really are.
Yeah, we're just specks on the grand scale of things. No, yeah, I
Yeah,
think you're right. I think a lot of us do that destination thing. When I was heavier, I said, oh, if I can just fit on an airplane without an extension, my problems would be solved. And yeah, that
right,
was a problem solved, but that didn't solve everything. And
right.
I still remember the day where it was a Walmart, if you can imagine that. I walked to a Walmart and I was able to buy clothes off the rack, and I was like, yes, I know it's about every body is great, but to me that was interesting that I've now
Huge.
somehow entered what people consider normal. I cried because of that.
Oh
It's
God, yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's an
yeah,
interesting dynamic here in this country, or at
yeah.
least in this society.
I think that's the nerd community and the cosplay community. It's when you walked into Walmart and you could buy the clothes, you were invited to the party.
Hmm.
You got your invite. And that's the great thing about this community, is that everybody is invited to the party. It's really interesting. The companies that make the clothing, the Mandalorian dresses and and just the different, brands, Captain America, you know, skirts and whatnot from her universe, and Hot Topic and Torrid, you're already invited to the party. And that's, I realized that the first day that I didn't even know what her universe was, and I actually saw it at Kamikaze,
Okay.
and they had this really cute Darth Vader dress, and I was like, it's going to be this typical story for me. I'm going to say, what sizes do you have? And they're going to say, we go all the way up to extra large. And I'm going to go, gee, thanks, and I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
But I walked up and and they said, we go to 3X. And I said, uh-huh. And I'm thinking, yeah, 3X. Yeah. By who's,
Yeah. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
standard is this 3X?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh no, she was like, it'll totally fit you. And I'm like, and she was like this big around, and I was like, sure, yeah, yeah. I'm like, you're very sweet. That's very nice of you to say. I'm like, okay. I said, here's the deal. I said, if I buy this dress and I go over 10 steps to this restroom and go try it on and it doesn't fit, can I bring it back?
Yeah.
And she was like, you know what? She goes, normally, no. She goes, but I'm going to say yes to you because you're not going to bring it back because it's going to fit you. And I was like,
Ooh.
okay.
Yeah.
And so I took it and I stopped. I mean, at this point, I was almost like, I'm like, I'm going to be right. It's not going to fit me. And I was just like so full of it. And I get into the stall, throw it on over my head, and it fit me. And I was like, I started crying. I just started
Yeah.
bawling, and to the point this woman even knocked on the stall and said, "Are you okay in here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." I'm like, "This dress just fits me," and I didn't think it was gonna fit. I was just like totally had a little miniature breakdown, and I came back out and slapped more money on the counter and said, "Give me the R2D2 dress too." I was like, "Damn it." I was like, "Take my money." Shit. And I just realized, oh, we're all invited to the party here. Oh, this is new. I'm not used to this. And that's one thing that I really wanted the book to let people know is, I know you think maybe not, but yes, you can do this too.
Yeah, I've been there to go in the
Yeah.
store and it's like, I'm not even gonna even put myself in the disappointment. Just tell me how far you go, and if it qualifies, I'll put it on. And people just discount that. People just go, I'm gonna try things on. But I know going to a mall and having like a store in this giant mall just for you, it's a different vibe, man. It really is. And
Yes.
I'm glad that that community and glad they had stuff for you. Like you're like, oh yeah, I'm ready to roll. You probably have the whole
Yeah.
outfit line and everything. That's
Uh-huh.
amazing.
Yeah. You walk in and they're like, hey, come on in. We have stuff for you. And it's like, oh my God. It's really, really nice. And the whole community is like that, which is great.
Yeah. Well, Kim, I want to thank you so much for coming through on this episode of What's Up Flobo After Hours.
Oh,
Now,
thank
you got it.
you.
Oh, thank you so much. But I want you to come back soon. I want you to come back soon. Tell me about
I
more
would love to
stuff.
do
But
that.
in the meantime, where can people find you, your social media handles, the book, everything? Just
Oh,
promote.
okay. You can find me on the blog, which has the store where you can buy the book, and that's in plainsight.style. And then Instagram, I'm at in plainsight.style as
Mm-hmm.
well. But you get my personal Instagram. Feel free to follow that one too. Is a chemapult. It's like a catapult, but just me instead.
Oh, I get it now. I struggle with trying to spell it right, but it makes sense now. Kim Upholt.
Yeah, it's a chemapult.
I should have led with that. As for me, it's about time I get out of here. This is What's Up Flobo After Hours, part of the New Amsterdam Entertainment Network. Learn more about the show at newamsterdam.com. That's KNEW Amsterdam.com. I'll be back next week. My special guest, James Lott Jr., will be here. We'll be playing all some games. It'll be a grand old time. But until next time, After Hours is closed.
The bed is still a land.